Well, one thing that I noticed when I came to college here is that the way like people dress up. Like I remember showing up to class and people had like Crocs on, and like
we'd like to ban Crocs.
And then here people were, showed up like it's I don't know. It was
showed up like I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's the beach balls? Yeah.
Yeah. It was like very like casual and relaxed.
So listeners, this is not recommended, but Herman took 23 credit hours.
Well, we should say, listeners, don't try this at
home.
Don't try this at community college.
Don't try this at community college.
You don't recommend it.
What makes us resilient? What makes some people continue to pursue their goals and dreams in spite of roadblocks or challenges? What if all we needed was an opportunity? Imagine if we trusted our talents, our abilities, and our strengths, then took a chance on ourselves. FutureProof is a Cincinnati State faculty and student-created podcast where students, alumni, and employers share adventures in learning outside of the classroom. We hope you will cheer, cry, and laugh along the way as we share our students' stories of resiliency and overcoming the odds. Find out what happens when we finally stop saying no and start saying yes.
Hello and welcome to FutureProof, the Cincinnati State podcast where we interview outstanding alumni and share their stories of resiliency, perseverance, and success. I'm Jayne Martin-Dressing, co-op coordinator at Cincinnati State.
And I'm Eimee Donbar. I worked with Jayne previously as a co-op coordinator, and now I'm the interim associate dean of the business division.
So welcome, listeners. We are wrapping up this week that started with commencement at our college. It was a fantastic day last Sunday, celebrating over 900 graduates, and was a great day, wonderful. I was a reader. If you've ever been a reader at commencement, you know that you can be very challenged by student names. And our guest with us today is a graduate of 2021, and he's going to share his story with us. Eimee's going to introduce him. She's going to practice commencement
speaking.
Announcement.
That's a small group of people who've like pronounced names at commencement. Like I feel like that would be a good party to be at. Is like the people like, hey, college personnel who announce names at graduation, go to a party.
It's like reading from the Bible.
You
just have to own it. You have to own those names. Nobody knows how to say all those names from the Old Testament, but you just got to say it
all the
and
names,
move on.
International names of people from
Not
all
just
over the world.
Names.
People with names from all over the world.
Well, Cincinnati State does represent many, many countries.
For sure.
Many ethnicities, religions, backgrounds.
Even my name. I was born here in the United States.
Nobody can say your name.
Nobody can say my name. Nobody. It's Eimee, and two people thought that was Eimee, right? Like literally, it's not.
When I do the voice to text on my phone, I have to say Eimee because my phone doesn't understand.
I've got Eimee, Emily. When I was in high school, I played tennis, and the high school football coach announced the names, right? So he was not very sensitive in his pronunciation of names. And one day he went like this. He covered the microphone and goes, "What in the heck is this name again?" Right? And the whole school heard it. So it was like, yeah. Anyway, Herman has worked with me on his last name. I'm going to take my best stab at it for the listeners.
It's like a commencement speaker.
Okay. So, Herman Muguluma.
Hey,
that was, you know what? And that was magna cum laude.
Magna cum
You just
laude.
did it magna cum laude.
I mean, Herman's magna cum laude. I don't know about my pronunciation. How did I do? You can be honest.
I think you did a great job.
Can you say your last name for us?
Muguluma.
Okay.
Nobody.
There you go.
Nobody does it better.
Nobody does it better.
It makes me feel
lovely.
sad for the rest.
We don't have all the sounds correct. Herman was a graduate from 2021. He was also a student in my career seminar, which we're going to get to. He's allowed to spill all the tea today on being my student.
He lit up in the elevator. I said, you know Jayne? And he said, I know Jayne, and his face lit up. So I don't think we're going to get that much tea.
Okay.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
So Herman, tell us a little bit about what brought you to Cincinnati State, how you got here. Why did you choose Cincinnati State?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on this podcast.
Yes.
Of course. Pleasure's all
this
ours.
is pretty cool.
We've been tracking him down. He's like, oh, God, I can't shake her. She keeps, every once in a while, she just keeps emailing me, asking me to meet students. I'll meet a student, and I'm like, oh, you've got to meet Herman. I've probably introduced you to several students trying to get you hooked up with people. Not hooked up. Sorry, listeners. I'm not trying to hook up Herman with anybody.
I didn't know you did that too.
I'm sorry.
I didn't know there was a matchmaking.
Wrong terminology.
I didn't know you do matchmaking too.
She wears many hats.
The girl does.
Yes.
The girl does.
So what brought you here?
So I moved to the U.S. in 2018, and I came I did like a program. It's like a mission. So think of it as a mission trip. So I would say like my story is kind of like a faith story, because when I came to the U.S., I was interested in being part of like a nonprofit organization and
like a faith-based mission.
Yeah, a faith-based mission, and that's how like the story began. And when I was almost done with the program, I was thinking about like what I'm gonna be doing next, and I had graduated high school a long time ago, and I wanted to go back to school, but I didn't have the opportunity. So when I came to the U.S. and went through this program, and then right before the end, I was like, maybe I can try to go to school here in the U.S. And I actually met a lot of people through the program that they were like previous people who had done the program, and they were like international people. So
what was the name of the program?
The program was called the Vincentian Volunteers of Cincinnati.
Vincentian?
Yeah, Vincentian.
Okay. Is it a Catholic organization?
Yeah, so the program itself is like, it's under the organization. The organization is called St. Vincent de Paul.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
of course. We know.
Yeah. So they used to run this program, which was a very awesome experience. It's a wonderful experience where like young individuals like get to experience like service
and living community,
and living in intentional community, but also like develop their faith as they serve the people who are living on the margins. So it was a very eye-opening experience. The fact that I, from Africa, didn't think that the U.S., there's this image of U.S. you see on the TV that's kind of like rich people, all this flashy life. But there is like poverty in the U.S. It was kind of like surprising to me. So it was after the experience, I decided to try to figure out how do I get in school. And
did you have to change a status? Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in order for you to change a status, obviously you need to be accepted by a school.
Okay.
So
that's the first step.
Yeah. So throughout the organization, I talked to a couple of people, and I actually thought that I would just go to a 4-year school.
Right.
Like I didn't know anything about community college.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at schools like there's UC, there's Xavier. Like I talked to people at Xavier. I don't think I particularly talked to anyone at UC, but I talked to someone in the Office of International Students at Xavier. And then someone else told me about Mount St. Joseph University. We actually, let me take that back. We did our orientation for the program next to the Mount St. Joseph University. That's actually how
Okay. That's how you got familiar.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I got to know about Mount St. Joseph University. But one of the people who worked at the organization, she's very wonderful. Her name is Tamara. She had gone to Cincinnati State. So she told me, like, I went to Cincinnati State. It's a pretty cool school, and it's going to be cheaper. So it's not going to be that expensive. She recommended that it would be a good idea to start from Cincinnati State and then move to Mount St. Joseph University. And obviously I had to do some research about Cincinnati State, and then do research. How do I go from doing nonprofit work, volunteering work, to becoming a student in the U.S.? So it's kind of a process. But
how long did it take from this idea, this seed planting, to actually getting to day one?
It actually took a couple months.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It was a process. I remember I reached out to Cincinnati State. I think I talked to someone called Katrina. She was
Jordan.
Yes. Ruckless.
Katrina.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was the international.
Yes.
Yeah. So I talked to her and then, asked her about like how do I get into school, and she gave me all these steps that to do. So I actually applied, and I remember I think I came here and I did a test, because like if you're international, you have to do like math and English test. And so I think I passed the English test, but I wasn't good at math.
Oh,
wow.
So yeah, that kind of like they took me to, I think it was, they told me you have to do intermediate algebra, something like that.
And this was a course that you had probably already passed at some time in your life, or was this really new math to you?
Yeah.
Or just the formatting?
I think, well, the thing is, like, when you're new, like, I didn't know about the education system in the U.S. If I knew that these tests that they give you kind of like determine where you're going to start from.
Yes.
I
You'd have
could
been
have-
more prepared for it.
Yeah, I could have been more
I've
prepared.
heard that from so many
Yeah.
students, that they just didn't understand that this means I
Yeah.
won't be able to start at this level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's such a simple test that you can prepare for it. And when you pass it, you're ready to go to a next step.
Right.
So I didn't know about that. So I ended up being sent back to some intermediate algebra class. But yeah, so like once I got, the registration, I obviously had to figure out, like, as an international student, you have to show that you have, before you get accepted, you have to show that you have the money to pay for.
I see.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was another hoop that I had to like figure out how to get funded, because like obviously
Right.
my
You had been
parents
living
wouldn't
in
be
an
able-
intentional
Yeah.
community
I
that was
wasn't
not
making
about
any money.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So this is why I say like my story kind of like is somehow related to like faith and just believing that somehow God makes a way when it seems to be no way.
Or where you were supposed to be.
Yeah, so I was where I was supposed to be, and somehow I've met, some incredible, really nice people here in the U.S. That kind of like helped me to navigate all that. And once I got that all the paperwork needed, so I actually had to travel back to get a different visa to come back as a student. So I think, I think it took me, I went back for like 11 days. So after the program, I think I went back for like 11 days, did the visa interview, and then I had to come back. And I remember like the day I came back, the next morning I had to be in class, which was crazy. Yeah.
Oh,
Not a little bit of jet lag or anything.
No.
It was crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, I was excited to be here, to go to college, because like for me it was a big deal, because like I'm the first person in my family to go to college or later on move outside the country.
yeah.
So it was a big deal. Yeah. So that's how I ended up.
That's a
at
beautiful
Cincinnati
story.
State, yeah.
And it's not entirely unusual for our listeners to understand that a lot of our students are the first ones in their families to go to college. And a lot of our students, leave a lot of family behind. And it's a lonely process, to get here. So you were unfamiliar with community college, with the community college idea and system. What was the biggest shock to you about being in an American college environment? And I know community college is a little different than a 4-year school, but what was shocking and different for you in terms of academics, education?
Well, there was a lot of things. I think overall, like the American culture was like a big shock to me. But I'm glad that after having spent a year in the US, I kind of like had an idea of like, how things work in the US. Although like the kind of like community I was surrounded with was more like people who are like driven by faith, people who are driven by mission, helping others. So transitioning from that kind of environment to college was another like...
You're like, why are all these people here? I know why I'm here, but why are the rest of these people here?
it was like one of those like, oh, okay, this is a different side of what I was experiencing. Well, one thing that I noticed when I came to college here is that the way like people dress up. Like I remember showing up to class and people had like Crocs on, and like.
We'd like to ban Crocs.
Yeah, like, they had like the way, like, for me, like growing up, like if you're going to school, you would dress up.
Almost like you were going to church.
Yeah,
school
like
was
shoes,
like
full shoes and everything. And then here people were, showed up like it's, I don't know. It was
showed up like
vacation.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's the beach balls? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like very like casual and relaxed. I guess I didn't understand it at first, but, I later on realized, okay, I guess, this is how they do it. Yeah. One other thing that I noticed is that obviously the English that I learned was a bit different than the English that I was supposed to use when I write here. Like if you're writing a paper in college in the U.S., you have to use like spellings that kind of like, reflect American way of spelling. I remember one of my professors in one of the English class I had here at Cincinnati State. I used to write like neighbor color, like the English way.
Right.
Yeah.
Different spelling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he kind of like brought it up one time in class. He was like, so like he used to kind of like highlight it and be like, this is not the spelling. Like he used to like, he kind of like gave me a warning like, hey, you're going to have to change these spellings to American spellings. But somehow like when you're used to write something a certain way, it takes a while for you to kind of like change it. It's like the way I used to write dates. Like I would start, with the date and then month. So things like that, it took me a while to kind of like adjust to it. Mm-hmm. And one time he was like, I've been reminding you about this, this spelling. You're in America now. You're going to have to write like, America.
Last name, first name. I called a student by their last name for an entire semester because he wrote it on his paper. And he was like, well, in my country, we would write our last name first. So what's your first language, Herman?
My first language is called Uganda.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you come to Cincinnati State and you're getting acclimated here. What are you studying with us?
So right off the bat, I knew what I wanted to do. And my idea was I'm going to go straight to this is where I want to go and this is what I want to study. But then it's like, oh, you don't have this, you don't have this. So you've got to like kind of like adjust your thinking and how you think things are going to. Sometimes you plan things and they're not like the way you want them to happen.
Oh yeah, right. We talked about that a lot.
Yeah. So my plan was to go directly to Mount St. Once I figured out like, hey, I want to go to Mount St. Joseph.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I knew the program I wanted to do there. So when I came to Cincinnati State, I talked. I don't know if you know Eimee Wolf. She works at the Mount.
She's still there. She's still a transfer person. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, I got in touch with people at the Mount. One of my professors at the Mount. He's no longer at the Mount. Dennis Gibson. I reached out to him and asked him like, what they teach in the program, and he told me things. And then I reached out to Eimee Wolf because she used to like set up a table
there
down.
Would be a table.
Yeah,
there
in
still
the ATLC.
Is.
Yeah.
shout out to the transfer centers.
Yeah, shout out to
getting
Eimee Wolf,
students to four-year colleges.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah, so I asked her, like, when I came to Cincinnati, I was like, what do I need? What classes do I need? And she, like, got me, like, the information that I needed. So when I came here, I decided to do an Associate of Arts because it was mainly, like, when I looked at the classes that she listed, like, that are needed, it's almost like you needed an Associate of Arts to...
You needed all those gen eds to get out of the way before you got to the Mount to really get into the meat and potatoes of your degree with IT.
Yeah. So shout outs to Eimee Wolf. She was very, very helpful. So I started doing the Associate of Arts, but one of the classes that I was taking, I think it was, you don't call it Common Ground, you call it experiential. No, not experiential.
First year experience.
Yeah, first year experience.
Oh, I gotta listen to you.
Yeah, so first year experience, I took a class with one of the wonderful people I met here at Cincinnati State, Kristen Donaldson. I don't know if that's how she pronounced her name.
Yes.
Yeah, she used to teach that
first year experience.
First year experience, and during that class, she used to mention about, like, becoming a peer leader. Leadership. She basically suggested this program about leadership, and I was like, and I think the thing about Kristen, she was very nice and she was very, like, friendly, and she took the time to work with her students, and she kind of, like, she would see what you're really good at, and she would, like, recommend you to, hey, you should try this, you should try that. So she I guess she noticed something in me, and she was like, I think it would be great if you do this leadership program. So I ended up signing up to do one class for that leadership certificate, and I kind of liked it. So I was like, well, let me just add that on to my,
I
my
see
associate.
that connection, though, because you were doing all that sort of servant leadership work when you came to the United States, through that 1 year service program. So.
Yeah, so she recommended that, so I signed up and I did a class with Julie McLaurin.
Yes, McLaughlin, yeah.
Sorry, I messed up her
You're
name.
okay.
It's okay.
We're not being...
We messed up your name, too.
If she listens
Herman,
to the episode,
can you say that last name again? I don't think you've got the English sound.
No,
I don't think you.
You know what's funny is, like, she used to say that, I think some people pronounce her name as McLaughlin.
Yes.
Yeah, something like that.
That rough sound in there.
Yeah. Another wonderful person I met, and she was very good with that program.
Shout out to faculty.
Yeah, shout outs to all the people in that program. So I ended up adding that leadership certificate to it, and that was also another, like, really wonderful experience. I got to take leadership classes.
So you didn't just take leadership classes or gen ed classes. Let's talk about the semester you took 23 credit hours. Now, was this because you were in the home stretch and you were like, this is it, I'm going to do as much as I can in one semester?
Yeah.
So listeners, this is not recommended, but Herman took 23 credit hours. One semester.
Well, we should say, listeners, don't try this at
Don't try this at home.
Don't try this at community college.
Don't try this at community college.
You don't recommend it.
Yeah. I don't recommend it.
You survived,
it's crazy.
But barely.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to get, having added the leadership certificate, I had so many classes, and I had to do the peer leadership stuff. So it was kind of like too much that I had, and I needed to get things done so that I can transfer to Mount St. Joseph University.
Was your goal.
Yeah.
Your goal was to get there.
Yeah. But not to say that I didn't enjoy the leadership certificate program. I really enjoyed that, working with, Miss G.
Yes.
Yeah.
Miss Greenlee.
Yeah, I worked with her, and it was a great experience. But I needed to graduate, so I had to do one of the semesters. This is after, like, COVID happened. So one of the semesters before I graduate, I think it was one before I graduate or the one before that, I had to take 23 credits because one of the classes that I took from, I think it was math, maybe trigonometry, I didn't do so well, so I had to retake the class. And that class was 4 credits.
Oh, yeah.
So on top of what I was planning to do that semester, I had to add...
Your favorite subject.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it
was crazy.
Okay, and then also in the midst of this, we didn't really even mention this, listeners, but you also were the COVID. This all hit. You're thinking, I'm going to go to college.
Yeah.
And then the world, goes crazy, and we have COVID. And this was also during the time, I think, this is when you were also doing a co-op. So you did some experiential learning. I know you did. You were really trying to get your foot in the door in IT. Listeners, he spent a semester working with a nonprofit, helping them build their website virtually for pennies,
Yeah.
And then you got a real gig doing some IT stuff. So what was that like to really get your foot in the door at a company and be working with people? And
Yeah, well, so before I even got that, which obviously you set me up on that one, I got a job to work for Cincinnati State. This was my first job.
Right.
Yeah, this was my first job in the U.S.
Oh, wow. What were you doing?
I was supposed to work with workforce.
it was workforce development in Evendale.
Yeah,
and it was like
Evendale.
day 3, the college closes. Yeah.
So I worked there for like a week. And in that week, I was just learning how the job operates and
Right.
what I'm supposed to do.
Here's
And then-
where you put your lunch. Here's where you
Yeah.
clock in.
And all of a sudden, shut down.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that job didn't
There
last.
goes my job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was crazy. But fast forward 2021, I was looking for a way to kind of like experience what I want to do
Yeah.
once I graduate from Mount St. Joseph University. And I was looking for opportunities. Obviously, you set me up with the nonprofit that I did.
Yeah.
That-
You built
which
their
was pretty
website,
cool. Yeah,
yes.
which was pretty cool.
Who was that? Who did you work for?
Village Empowerment.
Yep, Village
Community-
Empowerment
yeah.
Network, and they mentor children and families and do a lot of family self-sufficiency work. And they needed someone to rebuild their website.
Oh,
and,
wow.
And he was so gifted. And
Wonderful.
and it was a lot of work. It was a lot more work than
Yeah. So when I was looking for the opportunity, that's when you recommended the Ohio Diversity
And
Technology.
inclusion. Yes, inclusion and technology. Yes,
That was like, oh wow, that was awesome because like,
it's a game changer.
yeah, it was a game changer because I didn't know about this program, and here you are, you're like, hey, try this, register for this. So I signed up, and it's basically a program where you sign up as a student, you submit your resume, and you list like the things that you would be interested to do.
Yeah.
So I did, and
It's sort of like workplace online dating in a way. Like
Yeah.
you
They
list
match
all
you.
of your and then they
Yeah.
match you. Yes.
yeah. So they matched me with so many companies, and some I reached out to me, and it didn't go anywhere. Some wanted me to go farther than where I was living at the moment. So I was like, I don't think that's
That's not
possible.
work, yeah.
Yeah. But then there was this company, Buckeye Innovations. They were very, it was like one of those companies that they were very flexible. They said you can work remotely, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go in.
Yeah.
So they hired me. I talked to Brad, who's like the CEO of the company, and he hired me as a software engineer intern. And I was
And
so excited.
You're like, I've reached it.
Yeah.
This is the title. This is what I've wanted to do.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing this thing.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
I was
great.
just
Shout
so
out to the state of Ohio for these kinds of
Yeah.
initiatives. This was a state of Ohio initiative to get more people into fields of software engineering.
And I think I remember asking you that because most of these programs, like when you like look at them, they're usually interested in like people who are like citizens or residents,
Yeah.
something like that. And I think I remember asking you, is this applicable to me? Because like most of the times, like when people recommend programs, I'm like, is this applicable to me? Like,
And I was like, we're not going to ask any questions,
Yeah.
Herman. You know,
I
you know
know.
how I roll.
No, I know.
We're going for it.
I know.
Yeah.
Better
Yeah.
to seek forgiveness and ask permission. So
Right.
let's go.
Yeah, so it turned out that I was very like I was eligible to apply for it. Like the Ohio, like when you look on the websites, it said you're eligible, even if you're an international student. And so I worked with you, and we worked with Nicole.
Noelle.
Was it Noel? I think it was Nicole Jenkins.
Oh no, Nicole. Yes, Nicole Jenkins
An
was our
international
international
person.
student.
Nicole
Yes,
Jenkins.
yes.
Yeah, Nicole Jenkins.
Oh my gosh!
Um,
Shout out to Nicole.
yeah,
I
shout
probably
out to
drove
Nicole.
her insane with
Yeah,
all my
yeah.
requests. Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm.
I think you had so many requests sent to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she helped us with the how do you actually
For
get
sure.
Yes,
this
get
to
the
make
job.
official. Yeah, so she helped us with that, and then I was finally hired as a software engineer intern, which was a very good experience, a very eye-opening experience. I met some of the best minds, you know.
Oh, I
And
love this.
they really inspired me. They taught me like relevant things, and they've actually inspired me to like go like the stuff that I'm going to be doing now. It's all because of that one experience that I got.
Okay, listeners. So his entire career trajectory now started with his co-op, getting this opportunity. It had to have helped you really be more prepared than the average student at the Mounts who coming in with that kind of experience and then learning in your classes stuff that you'd already got to do on the job.
Yeah.
Yes. And so you finished up your degree. You're about to graduate. When's your graduation? Have you graduated officially from Mount St. Joe?
I graduate tomorrow.
Hey!
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So good.
Oh, I love this.
So Herman, you have done a lot, and you've walked us through a lot of obstacles you've had to overcome, from entrance testing to getting your cooperative education experience. And can you talk to us a little about what do you attribute the success that you have today to?
So for me, I'm a faith person, so I
course.
would say, God has been there for me. My Lord Jesus Christ has been there for me. And I feel like there are times where I've been in situations where if you didn't have that belief in you, like you would give up. There are I feel like there were moments where I could easily give up, but I was like, I just believed and, God came through. And I also believe that God kind of put like the right people in the right places.
Yes.
Like people like Jayne,
Yeah.
you were very nice,
You
like how
don't meet people by accident.
yeah, you
Yeah,
don't meet
exactly.
people by accident. And, like there's so many people, like if I had to thank every single one of them, we would spend the entire day here. So yeah, there have been some really wonderful people that have been helping me throughout this
Beautiful.
whole, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for
And
your answer.
you will be that person for someone else one day. If you
Yeah.
haven't already, you will be that person, probably in the position that you're starting, this week, a new job,
Yeah.
that you'll have interns and co-ops and you'll recognize they're on their journey like you were.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. So you're graduating, you have a new job,
Mhm.
brand new, getting started. Yes, that's wonderful.
Yep. I'm excited for that, I get to do something that I wanted to do. So I'm just
Yes.
really excited. I'm
You've-
grateful. Very grateful.
Yes, and gratitude is a huge part of success, I believe.
Yeah.
That gratitude, looking back, thanking the people, recognizing that you wouldn't have done this on your own,
Mhm.
is a huge part of success, I
Mhm.
think.
Yeah.
Business success, personal success, all those things. Your family must be so proud of you, Herman. Are you still is anybody able to come to your graduation, or do you have more family
Unfortunately,
here?
No one. I mean, I
Okay.
wish, because it's kind of like expensive and it's a process.
It is, yeah.
But I wish they were able to like come and celebrate with me, but it's not gonna be possible at the moment. So I'm just gonna enjoy it with my friends.
Mhm.
But even even though they're like far away, we're still gonna celebrate, being the first person to graduate.
They're so proud. I'll bet they're so proud of you.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
This is great.
Well, thank you so much, Herman, for sharing your journey with us and inspiring Jayne and I and our listeners. Mm-hmm. Will you stay in touch and keep us updated on your success?
Yeah,
I will be sending students to you. So just get ready, Herman. This is the thing.
You can run, but you cannot
whenever
hide.
I'll have a student from Ghana, right? I'll have a student, and I'll say, "Oh, I got to put you in touch with Herman," or somebody who's going to go to the Mount. I'm like, "Oh, you want to do this kind of program? Let me get you in touch with this guy at the Mount. He's been a super success story." So, that once you're in the circle of trust, that I'm just going to keep.
Well, I want to say, like how people, here in the U.S., people say like give people their flowers. Like I want to thank you, Jayne, because like sometimes you don't see, like maybe you don't actually hear back from all the students that you help, or maybe they go away or something. But I think that what you're doing and what you did for so many students is a very wonderful thing. It might not seem like a big difference. It might not seem like a big thing that you've done, but I think you've done a wonderful thing, and you kind of like went out on a limb for so many students who have come through Cincinnati State. So I just want to thank you that. I want to give you your flowers.
I like that expression, give you your flowers.
Yeah, and just, I appreciate you for the effort that you did, for the wonderful work that you do for all the students here.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying that,
it's my pleasure. It's a joy. It is. Thank you, Herman, for being with us here today and sharing your story. And shout out to the Mount and to all the folks that have gotten you through that program, and to transfer. And listeners, if you or someone wants to go to four-year school and it feels out of reach, community college is here. That's why we're here. And start here, finish there. Mm-hmm. That's a great message, and I see it every day, and that's what we're doing here. And I believe firmly that we're changing lives, and that experiences like the one you had is making you future-proof.
Yeah, definitely.
And listeners, don't forget to like and subscribe to catch all of our new episodes of FutureProof, and to find out what happens when we stop saying no and we start saying yes. And if you would like to reach us at FutureProof, you can email us at futureproof@cincinnatисtate.edu.
The FutureProof podcast is brought to you from Studio 459, up on the hill at Cincinnati State's main campus in Clifton. This podcast is produced in conjunction with the Cincinnati State Audio-Video Production Program, its students and faculty. If you like what you heard here, please hit the subscribe button. If you're an employer or potential student interested in the programs Cincinnati State has to offer, please visit cincinnatисtate.edu.